Hello, welcome back to my channel and to today's video. I am back sooner than anticipated, a lot sooner than anticipated, because everything has changed. From how things were when I left to go travelling to now, a lot has changed. And so I thought I'd better come on here and tell you about it. So when I left to go travelling, the point at which I left, I had not been offered places at the universities that I had initially wanted to go to. I applied quite late in the season, you might say, for that. And I was, a bit crestfallen, but it is what it is. And I was actually preparing to go back to work full time this September and try again next year. However, I had sent off some other applications. Sorry for the reflection on my glasses, it can't be helped. So I was leaving feeling that I'd accepted what was happening and I felt fine about it. It's just another 12 months of working, get some more money under my belt. It meant that I could travel for as long as I wanted to because there was going to be no set time when I could return to work. I'd had agreement from my boss that I could go back to work. And the ball was kind of in my court with it all. It meant that I could do as I pleased, stay out for as little or as long as I wanted and return to work when I wanted. So that was that. Now, before I left, as I said, I sent off a few other applications, one of which was to Brighton, which I withdrew because the course didn't rank very well at all, being frank. And I didn't think that would put me in a particularly great position with trying to find a job afterwards. I applied to Liverpool, who offered me a place. As you may know, I've already lived in Liverpool previously, did 3 years there, because I did my undergraduate degree at Liverpool John Moores. And being honest, I didn't feel the pull to go back. I love Liverpool, but I think I'd got my heart set on a new adventure in a new city that I'd not yet explored. But Liverpool was a safe bet because I knew that I did like the city. I love the city. And the other thing is that put me off was that all of the friends that I made whilst I was in Liverpool for those 3 years, the majority of them now do not live there anymore. And as much as I'm capable of making new friends, I'm very extroverted. What I was worried is that I would be constantly comparing it to my time there at undergrad because I had such an amazing experience. I also applied to Newcastle, which was unsuccessful, and I was fine with that because, being realistic, I don't know why I applied there. I don't mind Newcastle. I've been a few times, but I don't have any kind of desire to live there. I also applied to University of the Arts London and London School of Architecture. University of the Arts, they asked me to do a bit of a design challenge, and based on that, they would decide whether they wanted to offer me an interview or not. And based on that, they would decide whether I was offered a place. And they told me this a couple of days before I was going travelling, and I thought, to hell with it, I've got no real desire to go to this university. I can't do the design challenge. I don't know how I'm going to do an interview when I'm not in the country. So I withdrew my application for University of the Arts. And I'd heard nothing from London School of Architecture, and they'd said to me that they would get back to me within 7 days, and at this point it was more than 2 weeks. So I just kind of assumed it's not happening, and so I really was under the impression that I was going travelling and coming back to go back to work. However, as you may be able to tell, probably from the title of this video and just the facts of where this is going, that did change. I was in Seminyak. No, sorry, I wasn't. I was in Canggu, so it was in the first few days of being out there when I received an email from London School of Architecture saying Having reviewed your application and your portfolio, we would like to offer you an interview. This, bear in mind, big time difference here, okay? So Bali was 7 hours ahead of England, and so this email came through at about 11 o'clock at night. I was in bed ready to go to sleep, and it completely knocked me for six. And yeah, it said, we'd like to offer you an interview in person in London at the school. Please can you complete this design challenge for it? And the interview's on Tuesday at 11. They sent that email at 5 p.m. on Friday, wanting me to be in London at 11 a.m. on the Tuesday with the completed design challenge. Obviously that wasn't going to happen for the main reason that I was not in the country and had no feasible way of completing the design challenge. I had no means of being able to create something for it. And with the time difference, it was, like I say, gone 11 o'clock at night by the time that email got to me. So I was a bit flabbergasted because I really wanted to go. I really wanted the opportunity because the London School of Architecture is like no other school of architecture in the UK. The reason being that on the course you are part-time in uni and part-time on a work placement. So just a brief overline of architecture for those who don't know. The typical run of how things work is that you do 3 years undergrad, undergraduate degree course, 1 year then working in practice. You then return back to university full-time for 2 years. Once you've done that, you work for a final year in practice before you are then allowed to take your final exams and fully qualify as an architect. I'd already taken a slightly more relaxed approach, and relax isn't necessarily the right word, but longer approach, because I did my 3-year undergrad and then I did 2 years working, almost 2 years at the company that I've just left. And I'm now going to do my master's course. But yes, this master's course differs because in your first year of the course at London School of Architecture, you are in uni 2 days a week and you're on placement 3 days a week. And that is a benefit for so many reasons. First reason, it keeps your hand in the practical side of things. Most uni courses are very theoretical, very conceptual, you know, can't really pin an idea down, very arty-farty, airy-fairy. And the realities of working in practice are forgotten about, of having really strict constraints that a project is defined by, that you are constantly up against in the real world. You know, money, having a really tight budget for the project, things like that. And you kind of forget it all when you go back to do your masters, because it's back into, here's a site, what do you want to build on it? Do the best, most creative design you possibly can. Whereas LSA, as is easier to say than London School of Architecture continuously, LSA have more of a practical approach to it and like to do it in a way that is more realistic. And obviously by being in practice 3 days a week, that helps. The second huge plus is the money. It is not a free placement, it is a paid placement. So I will be working 3 days a week, and they have to pay me the bare minimum of the London living hourly rate, which I believe is £11.95 an hour. So that obviously helps with the cost of living. Obviously London is ridiculously expensive and it's off kilter anyway, but no matter where I would have ended up, you know, I would have had to find some kind of part-time job to supplement my uni loan to live off. And the fact that this is actually incorporated into a 5-day working week, 3 days of it, rather than having to do 5 days at uni and then work part-time, is a huge help. And the other thing is that it breaks you into the London job market and the London architecture practices, which is just another level. You know, obviously I hope that as time goes on, as I think most people do, as a northerner especially, that the UK becomes less London-centric in that, you know, they have all the best transport links, they have all the best jobs, they have all the best whatever. However, it still is the case that the top dog practices are based in London, and so having early access to that whilst I'm still doing my education will hugely benefit my career moving forward. And so those are the reasons for which I really wanted the opportunity. And so, yeah, just jumping back, I received that email, so I responded to that and said, you know, this is fantastic news. I am absolutely elated. However, I can't attend in person and I can't do the design challenge. Is there any chance we could still have an online interview and I can go through our portfolio with you perhaps, or whatever? And I got an email back which surprised me, saying, yeah, that's fine, we're still happy to meet with you. Can you do the proposed time of 11 a.m. on Tuesday? And I only got that email when would it be? I got that email half an hour before the interview. Half an hour before, that was it, because of the 7-hour time difference. It was 6 p.m. At 5:30 I got the email saying, so sorry for the late response, yes, we still like to interview you, can you still attend? And I replied within like a minute being like, yes, I can. So they sent through a link to a Zoom meeting, and I had an interview with the head of the school, the director of the school, one-on-one, and it was quite the challenge because the Wi-Fi connection wasn't amazing and I was doing it off an iPad. Thankfully I'd taken an iPad with me because doing it off my phone would have been even more tricky. And I was in the sort of communal area of the hostel that I was staying in. By the time the interview happened, I was moved from Canggu to Seminyak, and it was a large open air space, big tables, but like I say, open air, so basically outdoors but with a roof over it, and next to the swimming pool. And it was all going fine. You know, you can never tell in an interview quite how it's going in terms of well, especially in this one, he very much had a poker face, and I couldn't 100%, well, I couldn't tell at all whether he was happy with the answers I was giving him to his questions. Anyway, about halfway through the interview, 7 people decided to, obviously they had no idea that I was up there doing an interview. I was on the sort of first floor level, but it was open air looking down to the pool. They had no idea I was up there doing an interview to try and get into uni. Of course they didn't. They have no blame whatsoever, but they decided to jump in the pool. And they were splashing about and screaming, and my headphones were clearly picking up all of the background noise. I just had to apologise to the director of the school, and thankfully he was understanding. And he was quite stern, I guess the word is, in terms of the conditions of being accepted onto the course are that you have to have your placement sorted by September or you cannot start the course. They will not let you do it. I assume they would allow you to defer your place until the next year, but obviously that's not ideal. And he was very much saying, you know, it's really late into the process, we're almost at the end of June, and you're not even in the country, and you need to find a placement and somewhere to live. And, you know, couldn't disagree with him. It's absolutely true. And so it kind of gave me an impression that he was saying, just don't think this is going to work. And so I left the interview feeling that it was probably unlikely I would be offered a place. Anyway, roll on a couple more days. By this point, we had moved to Ubud, which is up in the sort of middle of the island of Bali, in the forest area. And again, it was really late at night because of the time difference. It was 1 minute past midnight, and an email popped through from LSA, congratulating me because they were offering me a place, and it was just the best feeling to be accepted onto a course that will hopefully have such a positive impact on my future, because I feel effectively like I've been given a fast track pass in terms of breaking into the London market this early and getting a job at hopefully what will be a prestigious practice, and just how that could set me up for the future is just fantastic. But then of course came the challenge of, now I need to find a placement job and I need to find somewhere to live. And I had an amazing trip. You will have seen I've put up a couple of shorts so far, there's more to come. And I could technically have stayed out there longer. I should, as I'm filming this, I should be in Singapore right now. I had to lose the money for my flights, unfortunately, I'd already booked them. But I decided I could have stayed out there technically, because I've proven that I could do interviews from abroad, as long as you have a good Wi-Fi connection somewhere to do it from. But that's obviously not guaranteed. With travelling, you're booking your hostels a few days in advance, and as much as you can check reviews and facilities checklists, you never fully know whether it's going to be an appropriate location to do a job interview from. And I made the decision to come home on the same day that my friend Frances, who I was travelling with, same day she came home, I came home as well, rather than continuing on, because I don't think I would be able to enjoy the rest of my travels, because I'd be too preoccupied with interviews and trying to find somewhere to live to really be in the moment and enjoy what I was doing. And I'd already kind of found that with Bali. I had an amazing time. It was by far the best trip I've ever been on, and I could talk to you about Bali for hours on end. I won't do it, this isn't the video for that. However, I will also admit that there were times where I wasn't concentrating 100% on what I was doing and being away and soaking in all the culture, because my mind was racing with all of the thoughts of everything that I had to sort out, and it was just a lot to process mentally whilst being away from home, 7 hours ahead of the UK, dealing with poor internet connections and doing stuff over email. And it's little things like I needed my CV to send on, and I had to get my mum to forward it to me from the UK, and just that was just proved to me that like things were not going to be straightforward. So yeah, I've come home. I got home on Saturday the 8th, so I had 2.5 weeks, as I said. And yeah, now the situation is that I'm obviously looking for somewhere to live. My uni have put me in contact with 5 or 6 different practices who are all prepared to interview me, so I'm in the middle of arranging interview dates with those. And I've also got an interview arranged with another practice that I've been put in touch with through a reseller friend, funnily enough. And if that comes off, I will owe them an awful lot, and I will tell you guys about it too. And that practice is pretty impressive. It's a worldwide practice. They have offices in, I think, 55 locations across the world, and I'm being interviewed by the director of the London office. They work on projects such as San Francisco Airport. That's the kind of scale that we're talking about, which is quite different to what I'm used to, and obviously pretty cool stuff to be working on. Big fry stuff, and if I do manage to get a job there, that would be insane. I'm not getting my hopes up, anything could happen, but I've at least got the interview, and you know, can't ask for any more than that. So yeah, over the next couple of weeks, I've got those interviews, and I'm also going to be finding somewhere to live. The course starts on the 6th of September, so effectively, feel free to stick around and follow along for what's going to happen in the next couple of months, because I feel like the roller coaster ride isn't quite over yet. It has been a stressful old time the last few months, and there's a lot of it that I haven't shared until now, but obviously now that I've got positive news to share, I'm sharing it, because I didn't really want to come on here and say, oh, by the way guys, I've not got into any unis, I'm going back to work, because I did feel like a failure at that point in time. I truly did. And who knows, I might feel like a failure again if I can't find a placement job or somewhere to live, but I am an optimist, and I'm sure it will all work out. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I've just given you a whole ton of information, and I've been filming for over 20 minutes of me rambling on at you. So there's an update. That's what's going on in my life. The travel will wait until my master's is over, and that's fine. I am only 23. I still have my whole life ahead of me to see the rest of the world. So, lovely to speak to you all. I hope you're all well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon with my next video.